You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to the Diversity Dude podcast, recognized as one of the top 100 diversity and inclusion podcasts in the U.S. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for even more positive and encouraging tips and strategies, check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, which I offer a unique and positively address the often divisive topic of multicultural awareness and diversity, equipping helping professionals like you in your efforts to meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author and speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So, today I'd like to share a few thoughts on cultivating emotional safety in the midst of ICE fears. So, once again, Minneapolis finds itself at the epicenter of social injustice conversations around the country and in many ways around the world. For thousands of U.S. immigration and customs enforcement agents, also known as ICE agents, were deployed to Minneapolis, the largest city in the state of Minnesota, to conduct what Homeland Security called the largest DHS operation ever, reportedly aimed to arrest fraudsters, murderers, rapists, and gang members. Unfortunately, while one might expect with a proclamation like this that the only people who would be impacted would be fraudsters, murderers, rapists, and gang members, the reality, however, of their impact has stretched much further. For people of every age, gender, ethnicity, profession, citizenship, history of criminal records or lack thereof, have found themselves wondering how ICE might change or possibly even end their lives. Now, I'm not here to tell you what sides you should believe in or trust or even to listen to. Everyone listening to this will have to make that decision for themselves, one decision at a time. Instead, I would like to put a spotlight on the emotional impact of ICE deployment on so many people's sense of safety and discouragement today and moving forward. In particular, if you find yourself, personally or professionally, in a place where someone around you is struggling in some way with the impact ICE is having these days, I would like to encourage and empower you to have the healthiest interaction possible by offering the following considerations. Consideration number one, acknowledge that everyone is at risk of being impacted by ICE. Many people maintain the unfortunate belief that only undocumented non-citizens are at risk of being negatively impacted by ICE. For if the goal of ICE is to identify undocumented individuals, especially the ones who are committing illegal actions, and to deport them out of this country with the goal of ultimately making the country better, then it is reasonable to assume to some degree that only these individuals would have reason to fear, reason to hide from or oppose ICE agents, reasons to oppose their methods or actions. However, despite this expressed goal, recent behavior reflects that these individuals are not the only people who ICE has impacted. Regarding citizenships, reports have shown over 170 U.S. citizens have been deported by ICE. Regarding criminal records, stats indicate that almost 75% of people in ICE detentions have no criminal convictions. And when ICE continues to spread to locations across the Twin Cities and beyond, there are even reports of ICE agents following children on their way home from schools, prompting parents to have difficult conversations with their children about what to do if they encounter strangers in masks who might kidnap them and take them out of the country to a country where they're not from, where they have no support, thus requiring them to travel to school with the U.S. passport if they happen to have one, or some other identification, all because the actions of a group that has not earned the credibility of efficiency or have expressed or shown a priority for their safety or everyone they encounter. Not exactly the talk parents or children expected to have that day. And yet, these talks have been necessary as children and parents have felt and shared feelings of fear, uncertainty, hopelessness, and helplessness as unknown forces come into their community that may not have been perfect, the individuals, the families, the parents, but they did know what to do, where to go to keep themselves safe. And as long as they did their best to live their best life and care for their loved ones, they could at least count on and trust that they would at least be safe to come home. But not now. And not because of the alleged fraudsters or murderers, rapists, or gang members, but because of people reportedly sent to protect them, then becoming ones they feel the need to protect themselves from. Which brings me to consideration number two. The lack of ICE accountability contributes to fear and uncertainty. Not only does the presence of a group whose actions have shown themselves to be indiscriminate contribute to mass fears, but also efforts to hold ICE agents accountable have not been effective either. For when reports of seemingly illegal actions by ICE agents have been reported, justifications for their actions not only get spread very quickly and loudly, but those who make the reports get accused of being unpatriotic. And when community members challenge those in authority to hold them accountable for these actions by protesting, aiming to stand up for and advocate for the upstanding fellow members of their community feeling targeted, these protesters, no matter their age, race, sexual orientation, or political affiliation, also find themselves to be the target of accusations or worse. This is evident in the most recent of a long history of tragedies when Renee Nicole Good, a white female protester, was shot and killed by an ICE agent in her vehicle while protesting on the street of Minneapolis. And while investigations continue to explore the motives and responsibility of everyone involved, the community finds itself torn by what their eyes see from the videos widely circulating, taken by other community members protesting peacefully the only way they know how, by using their cell phones to record the truth, and what their ears hear from the commentary that comes from news stories and government officials who seem to not need a completed investigation to have come to the conclusion that ICE agents were innocent victims of being the result of a domestic terrorist. Now, while I've not done an in-depth investigation either, I can see that instead of considering the possibility that ICE agents contributed in any way to the tragic incident that occurred, 100% of the blame is being placed elsewhere. And it is done in such a way that conveys a message that even outside of the details of this one event, any effort to protest ICE actions, a right that we all have in this country, or hold ICE agents accountable for their actions, something all citizens in this country are reportedly subject to, would be considered unpatriotic acts of domestic terror. Essentially, the message that gets sent and heard by ICE agents seems to be, don't get in our way, in action or in word, or you might be next, no matter who you are. And when you add this to the fact that you can actually be a US citizen, and you don't even have to have a criminal record, then that results in a state where everyone is on edge by the mere existence of ICE in their community, in their city, or their state. Which leads to consideration number three. Emotional support is very needed during this time of ICE uncertainty. What I mean by this is some of you who listen to this are already motivated to find the best way you can make an active impact. Whether you do it yourself or you're associated with a formal or informal group whose aim is to help protect those in the community from those who do not have their best interests at heart. But even if you're not inclined to get involved in this kind of active protest way, you too can play a role in helping provide emotional support for those around you. Whether it be in conversations at home, at work, or in a larger community, you may not be able to guarantee their safety from ICE agents near them, but you can validate the legitimacy of their safety concerns for themselves, for their family, friends, and loved ones. You can validate the apparent injustice they're witnessing with their eyes and express hope right along with them that accountability will come. You can validate their fear and confusion as they worry about the worst case scenarios, from temporary separation from their loved ones to the complete loss of life. You can reassure them that you will not attempt to gaslight them into believing that everything is fine and they have nothing to worry about. You can contribute to healthy decisions and discussions where people are learning about their rights if they encounter ICE agents, such as the right to not speak or answer questions, the right to deny permission for ICE agents to enter their home, the right to not give permission to search their belongings. All of this information can be found on red cards, newly circulating in the Twin Cities and beyond as people try to do their best to leave their home safely, go to school, go to work, or even shop, wondering if they'll have to navigate an ICE encounter, motivated by people they don't know, who have committed crimes reportedly that they have not committed, and fearing that it might not matter in their efforts to return home safely. With all that being said, my hope for you is that you'll be able to navigate this uncertain time in the healthiest way possible. And that starts with the validation that if you find yourself worried about what might happen next, you're not alone. There hasn't been enough consistency to reliably predict what will happen. However, know that there are many people and organizations doing their best to stand up for you and those you care about. And if you feel so inclined, you can be a part, maybe formally in peaceful protest, and maybe from a distance, merely focusing on one relationship interaction at a time, reassuring and empathizing, rather than judging, dismissing, or gaslighting. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that this can be a time to check on your loved ones a little more, draw them near. And if anyone around you seems to be lacking that kind of support, let them know that you care about them as well. When this time passes, my hope is that we would come out of this with a sense of hope and emotional stability that we can build upon to make things stronger and better than they were before, for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for everyone else in the community as well. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Dude podcast. If you found it positive and insightful, then be sure to like and subscribe so I know which topics you'd like me to share more on in the future, and share with the friends so that they can be encouraged as well. You can also get my guide for how your organization can learn shame-free and empowering strategies for cultivating a culturally safe work environment for you and everyone on your team and everyone you serve by visiting lambertsfisher.com/playbook. Or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share it with someone else so that they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
Want to own a home, especially your first? Well then, welcome home to the Old National Bank Down Payment Assistance Program. We're here to help you from start to finish and make getting a mortgage a little easier. Plus, you may be eligible for up to $15,000 to use toward your down payment. How's that for a little easier? Everyone deserves a place to call home and a bank to help get them there. Connect with an Old National mortgage lender to learn more. Old National Bank. Get old in your new home.
Hey, it's your girl Shaletta. Are you over there running low on your insulin supply and worried how you're going to pay for it? Minnesota's Insulin Safety Net programs got you covered. If you have less than a 7-day supply of insulin, you can get a 30-day refill for just $35 at any Minnesota pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org today, print out the application, complete the form, and just take it in to your pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org.